Good morning everybody, I am Sarah with the trains and you find me here near the junction of Unthank Road and Newmarket Road in Norwich, ready to film the final video in my Walking a Disused Railway Line for Charity series. As you may know, I've been completing a Epilepsy Action challenge of Walk 50 miles in February. I've done 47 miles, so there's 3 more miles left to go. I've finished that line between North Walsham and Great Yarmouth, done a few top-up walks in between, and today I'm going to be visiting the site of an old light railway, the Mousehold Light Railway. So now we're going to head off. We're actually got to walk a little bit further first, because this light railway was connected to the main railway station, Norwich Thorpe, by a tramway. So let's head off and walk the tramway line from here, Newmarket Road, where the terminus was, to Mousehold Heath. Hitting start workout for the final time of this challenge. Just going past the site of what was Victoria Station, which was one of the main stops on this tram line. Norwich Electric Tramways operated from the 30th of July 1900 to the 10th of December 1935. Construction of the tramways had begun in 1898 and the network was fully operational by the end of 1901. The tramways were powered by overhead electric wires, in spite of local objections to the wires on the grounds of them being unsightly. A generating station for the network was located off Duke Street. The creation of the tram network in the city must have been quite an upheaval, as it included the demolition of buildings, widening streets, building new streets, and laying rails in the road. In order to create the tram centre at Orford Place, buildings were demolished, Little Orford Street was widened, as was Red Lion Street, and a cut-through from Orford Hill to Castle Meadow was created to link Red Lion Street to Castle Meadow. This link was achieved by the demolition of this building, and also a small piece of the York Tavern. From a modern perspective, it's hard to imagine buildings blocking the way from Red Lion Street to Castle Meadow. Lines from the tram hub at Orford Place ran to Earlham Road, Dereham Road, Aylsham Road, the depot at Silver Road, Cavalry Barracks, Thorpe Road, Trowse Railway Station, Long John Hill, Newmarket Road and Unthank Road. Some of the lines were abandoned prior to 1924, namely Chapelfield Road, King Street and Higham Road. So standing here next to Bishop's Bridge, we are nearly at the end of this tram line. And you might be thinking, I thought we were going to Mousehold Heath, and we totally are. But for most of the year, this tram line ended a bit down there at a stop for Norfolk Cavalry Barracks. But in the summer, there was an extension that took tourists up to Mousehold Heath, it went up to the bandstand. I'm now going to go and show you what became of Norfolk Cavalry Barracks. Was it Norwich Cavalry Barracks? I'll put it on the screen. The location of the barracks is now the Heathgate housing estate. Now we've been to the terminus of the line here at Cavalry Barracks, let's head off on that little extension up to the bandstand where tourists were taken in the summer. We have made it to the bandstand. I will just mention that this isn't actually the original bandstand. This was rebuilt in 1992. Now obviously the trams didn't come right up to the bandstand, but it was a landmark, you know, where you could mark off where you're getting off. We're getting off at the bandstand. Our equivalent in Stoke-on-Trent is the Blue Clock. If you know, you know. Before we head off to the old Mousehold Light Railway, I think it's time for a little sit down. Right, we're now ready to head off. So just before we go, that up there is labelled on old maps as the Pavilion. It is now better known as Zach's Diner, and a very nice diner it is too. In 1918, the government asked the Norwich Electric Tramways Company to build a connection from Thorpe Station, now known as Norwich Station, to the munitions and aircraft factories on the edge of Mousehold Heath. At the Thorpe Station end of the line, this was simply a case of branching off the tramway with a line that departed the passenger route to the east of Foundry Bridge and ran through the yard of the station and up the northern side of the terminus so that goods could be offloaded onto the main line. At Mousehold Heath end, an extension needed to be built across the heath from the existing terminus near the bandstand. In order to do this, the Norwich Electric Tramways Company removed the rails and overhead wires between King Street and Trowse. New materials weren't exactly easy to come by in wartime, as is evidenced by the rolling stock on the Mousehold Light Railway. The electric wagons constructed by the NETC were mounted onto old tramcar trucks and resembled railway trucks. These were driven on the line by volunteers to haul 2 flat cars from the factories to the station and vice versa. Ordinary NETC tramcars were used to transport volunteer crews. Following the war, the equipment from the electric wagons was used to construct 2 new trams. These were known as Mousehold cars, as their greater power was well suited to carrying people up to Mousehold Heath. The aerodrome became the first Norwich airport with 4 landing strips between 1933 and the start of the Second World War. This continued to be used up until around 1950, but has since been built over by the Heartsease estate. The Mousehold Light Railway lasted nowhere near as long as the aerodrome though. It closed at the end of the First World War. One very interesting thing about this line is that even though it closed at the end of the First World War, the tracks were left in situ until the 1930s, and the 1930s is when the tramways in Norwich closed altogether. Good job, I'm wearing my new boots. there we have it, the end of the line, home base. Now that we've made our way to the end of the line here at home base, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to everybody who has donated to this fundraiser. It's absolutely amazing. My little goal to myself I made at the start was to raise £100, and when I checked last night it was at £1,561. That is 15 times more than what I wanted to raise. This is amazing. Thank you all so much. If you do still want to leave a little donation, the fundraiser does run till the end of February, and the link is in the description below. Epilepsy Action is a charity that's so close to my heart, with suffering with epilepsy myself. So it's just been amazing to go on this journey. And for anyone who's interested, I managed to cover 4.93 miles today. I only needed to cover 3. So the grand total of what I achieved is going to be on screen right now, because it was like 47 point something, but I can't remember the point something. So here it is. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for supporting me in this fundraiser. It's been truly amazing. I will see you all next time for another railway adventure. To be perfectly honest, I think my legs would like it if the next one was actually getting on board some trains and having a bit of a sit down whilst I travel. I'll see you next time. Bye. As always, an extra special thank you to all of my patrons and channel members whose names are on screen right now, as well as everybody who donates to me on Ko-fi. Your generous support keeps this channel going. I think now is the time for me to head back into the city and maybe go and get a little bit of something to eat. And I'm not going to stray back into the woods necessarily, because I have been known to get lost on Mousehold Heath. But what would you expect from me?